Okay, everyone, let's see if we can change some minds tonight. Last month, we discussed the planned general strike for July 1st, and a couple weeks ago, we discussed why we thought it didn't have the impact to make the national news. Recently emerged in the conversation of general strikes is the October 15th planned general strike. As detailed by the website octoberstrike.com, people are intending another possible strike. Reasons behind the strike include zero requirements for paid time off for maternity leave, unemployment numbers, 71% of all global carbon emissions being linked to only 100 corporations, federal minimum wage stagnation, 40 million Americans being at or below the poverty line, big pharma extortions, and the average American being $90,000+ in debt just to afford necessities, basic necessities, like housing, food, clothes, education, and medical bills. The website states, and I quote, "This demonstration serves to show your company and your country as a whole that you deserve basic human rights. Your labor is a bargaining tool, and you are worth more than what society is offering you." I really endorse that statement. People don't realize the leverage we have. Goals hope to be achieved from the planned general strike include 25% corporate tax rate with no loopholes, free healthcare for all, 12 weeks paid paternity and maternity leave, $20 minimum wage, and a 4-day work week, as well as stricter environmental regulations on corporations, including bans on single-use and microplastics and limited emissions. Organizers of the strike, as I mentioned before, were fairly anonymous and decentralized. And they are asking that if someone supports any of these goals, or all of them, to stand in solidarity and take work off on October 15th. Encouraged involvement in the strike includes abstaining from going to work, as well as not participating in economic activity starting October 15th. I noted it that on their website they said starting, and I thought, that's a little ambitious to imply that it could be more than one day. They also tell people to contact their local representatives to express demands. I also endorse that, and inform others about the strike. And they have a petition, and last time I looked, it was almost at 4,000 signatures. And I looked right before we went live. The website provides resources to those who would like to participate but are concerned about being fired, and recommend people contact the National Labor Relations Board to find out more. With 91 days left before the planned general strike, what are the concerns for October 15th? And will it be a repeat of July 1st? Matt, what's your take?
So we kind of it was weird. I don't really even know how it happened, but somehow a few of us got kind of invited into kind of the discussion about how we're going to try and make that July 1st thing happen. And the problem was, I think from the beginning, was the list of demands. And the reason behind the list of demands, there was this idea that we had to have this wide encompassing list of things that could get everybody, like something that everybody wanted. The list of demands, it included things like the Green New Deal. And while this mentions environment, right, there's a way to kind of go about that without throwing things that you know are already poison terms, and they're just going to make your movement seem partisan to begin with, because this has to be a nonpartisan thing, right? Because this is a nonpartisan thing. So to that end, they didn't give any reasonable demands, it seemed like, and that's a really important thing when you're trying to engage in a action that's going to, try and get some kind of response from them. Because if you give them something reasonable, something that they can actually accomplish, and they don't do it, you know that you have to take the next step. Okay, we have to do more now. If they give it to you, okay, we might have found something that we can replicate if we need, more and more, right? So if you don't even give them that, you can't gauge how they're taking you as a movement, right? You need to understand how they view you to begin with. And if you don't give them any concrete action to work with, it's easy for them to just dismiss you as unreasonable. And when you come across as unreasonable, people don't want to be attached to that because it's unreasonable.
100%. I totally agree. I was like, when I saw their list of demands, I was like, this is like a refined, better messaged. It's more doable. It's more reasonable. And at some point, if you just make demands that can't be met, you'll never use your leverage appropriately. And this to me seems like a very calculated list, and I respect that.
And to your point about earlier, the decentral, because what ended up happening with that group, they went private, and it's just they They went full like authoritarian mode for what's supposed to be a class conscious labor movement, right? There's something to be said. This kind of just, sometimes it's the right time, right? So I think with people actually being to feel or see the impact of some of the policy shifts in Republican states and things of that nature, I think part of it too, I'm not kidding. I think with some of the media framing and some of the bullshit going on with AMC, the stocks, things like that, people kind of just seeing Wall Street really being fully exposed. Man, we're really seeing all the pieces tied together. Who's really got who's back there, right? Coming out the pandemic, the polarization in politics, right? The tension in that climate. I think people are just more ready than they've ever been to actually do something that might kind of shake the system, because they're feeling the pinch. People are really feeling the pinch finally. That big enough number, right? It's always a tipping point number. So I'm going to do everything I can to push this.
Yeah, no, 100%. I fully endorse anyone who is in the position to not go into work to that day. And I, for one, have no intention of I should like double check it's not a Thursday, just make sure I can give voice notice that I won't be able to be here. But yeah, I fully endorse not doing any kind of economic activity that day. And that's the patron strike is like, stop putting so much on workers. Don't put so much pressure on workers. Like, the patrons outnumber them. And so as patrons, we have more power to make an impact that will make corporate America scared. And corporate America and the people who pass our laws are very friendly with one another.
They are. And I'd argue it might even be even more on the patrons to some extent. Because I know this is not the message you want to send to it, and I know, but not everyone's in a position to be able to not go to work. Frankly, they're just 100%. Not going to be, right?
100%.
We're all in position to not spend money.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, like essentials that you need, but yes. Like, just get your groceries on the 14th. Just get your essentials on the 14th. Stand in solidarity. It's not about workers walking out. It's about standing in solidarity with workers. Don't go to any fast food that day. Don't go to anywhere that day unless you just go to work, because like no one gets fired because they show up to work and then no one comes for the no grocers getting fired because no one came to the grocery store.
It's just something that's accomplishable. This is not like, it's funny. This is not crazy. Like, this is not a difficult thing to do. It's literally not a fucking difficult thing to do. And I don't know if that's like me being privileged or something, but I don't think it's difficult to just not spend money for a day.
I 100%, like, if nothing else, your takeaway from this segment shouldn't just be like, oh, I wish the workers luck. It should be like, what can I do? And it's the easiest thing. You just don't stimulate the economy that day. And they will feel it. The right people will feel it, and they'll know that we need to make change. Let us know in the chat or comments, what's your plan for October 15th, people?
And until October 15th, here's what you can do. Look at those list of demands, right? And so, for example, a $20 minimum wage. Look at wage stagnation relative to consumer prices and things like that. Understand the reasoning behind the demands yourself, so you can go and have these conversations with people and explain to them why we need these things and why we're asking for these things. It's not just people. These aren't just things being thrown out there for no reason, right? There's really sound arguments behind this, all right? The environmental aspect, right? We can look at some of the policies that have been like look at some of the rhetoric that's been aimed towards people, right? Things that we can do as individuals, which fair, totally fair. But it's government and industries and corporations which are the major problem when it comes to the environment. It's not someone going to the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? So miss me with that. So like, just become more well versed in why these demands are there, and have these conversations with people in your personal life and boost these messages online. It's got to be both.
But on that note, if y'all want to follow us on TikTok, it's a riot over there. Mute the Media 3.0 and I did that backwards. Mute the Media 3.0 and Cheyanne for UBI. And it's the number 4.